Welcome everyone to the Friendship Force of Sacramento Fall Soups and Stews Zoom. Again, sorry about not sending out the right link. That was my error, but we are on track now, and there's at least 30 something of us here. Yeah, so perfect. And this will be recorded, as you heard the announcement. So for folks who didn't get a chance to see it, it'll be posted on the Friendship Force International blog. And for our members, we send out links to all of our Zoom recordings. So I'm Kathy Hart. I love to connect with people, and so I do a lot of Zooms for our group. And today it's a food related one, but I've got some others coming up. I'll tell you about it at the end. So welcome again, everyone. I'm so glad you could join us this morning. So one of the things that I wanted to do is present some really, really simple and healthy soup recipes. There's lots of great soup recipes out there. Sometimes I want it to be ready in literally 10 minutes. And so I've given you two that are, one's not going to be ready in 10 minutes, but one definitely is. And the other one only takes about 15 minutes. So they're both pretty darn quick. And both of these are very, very healthy. As with any soup recipe, you can add whatever you like. You can take out whatever you like. This is not baking, this is cooking. So you adjust any recipe for what makes sense for you and for your family. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shift the camera so you can see. I'm going to use an Instant Pot. Now this is just the liner of the Instant Pot. The first recipe that I have is a butternut squash. It's a butternut bisque. So a butternut looks like this. We grew many squash in our garden this year. Butternut was prolific. And I also grew kabocha and buttercup. Any of those will work. You just want a dark orange fleshy squash. So I've already cut up the butternut. That's the hardest part of this whole recipe, is cutting your squash. So I'm just going to toss that in my my Instant Pot liner. Now don't worry about any of the recipes. I sent the recipes out with the new link. And if you could let me know in chat if anyone else was able to view the recipes, because Gloria said there was an issue. So I'd like to know if I need to resend it in a separate email.
Kathy, let me interrupt. Someone had a question. Do you take the skin off the squash?
Yes, you do. Because I'm just going to blend it all up.
Okay.
You could cook squash in the skin, but when I'm making the soup, I just take the skin off, take the seeds out. Thank you.
And you're getting several people who are saying they have seen the recipes.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, so don't worry about writing anything down. It's all in your recipe. The next thing that I add, I've peeled and chopped some onions, just dumping that in. I have peeled some garlic. I'm going to go ahead and add that.
Kathy, it takes a little while for the film to process, so if you just hold the food just a second longer before you pour it in.
Yes, thank you. Then the recipe says for 3 cups water, broth, or aquafaba. Now I'm not sure if everyone knows what aquafaba is. I make it myself. Aquafaba typically comes from cooked chickpeas. It's the water that you use to cook the chickpeas in. It doesn't have to be chickpeas. You can actually use aquafaba from white beans or I think any beans, but the most common is from chickpeas. I cook chickpeas pretty much every week in my Instant Pot. So I have some lovely aquafaba, which is just the water that the chickpeas were cooked in. So this says 3 cups water. I'm not measuring, I'm just doing most of it. The next thing is our 4 ripe pear halves. If they aren't ripe, that of course affects your soup. This is pear sauce I made in August because I had a friend of mine had a tree and they were just falling off and ripening. So I got loads and loads of pears. There's nothing else added to this. It's simply just pears that I've cooked in my Instant Pot. So I'm just going to put some of that in my dish. And I'll tell you, this is what makes it great. You're not going to see anything here except a spice looking thing. Smoked paprika, not the same as regular paprika, smoked. That's what gives it a wonderful, wonderful flavor. That's one of the things. Smoked paprika and the coconut milk. I have a recipe for a bisque using butternut and coconut milk. It takes about 4 times the amount of time to fix that soup, but this one is very, very quick. I'm just putting everything into my Instant Pot except the milk. This is a recipe because the chef that created this recipe recommends Benson's Table Tasty. I bought this online. It's any salt-free seasoning. This just happens to be what she recommends. I follow her, so I bought this and that's what I have to use. So I'm just doing a half a tablespoon of the salt-free seasoning.
Kathy, what are the what's in that seasoning? Can you tell us what the main ingredients are on the bottle?
Yes, I can. Let me look. Okay, it's super, super tiny. Nutritional yeast extract, carrot, red bell pepper, onion, arrowroot, that's a thickener, lemon, celery, dillweed, parsley, basil, allspice, paprika, and then something that's I don't know, silicon dioxide. So that's what's in that particular salt-free.
There was another question about the Instapot, and they ask if it's a pressure cooker.
It is. So let me show you what it looks like. Let me just kind of move this. Hold on one sec. It's an electric pressure cooker. So I have a 6 quart. I got it. That's what it looks like.
Can you put the cap on and raise your screen just a little bit more so they could see it? Because I know that pressure pot top is important.
Yes. Here, I can do this.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the release valve. So I'm going to go ahead. I've just dumped everything in here, and because there's liquid, that's what's going to cook. I'm going to have to turn it around to put the lid on here so I see what I'm doing. Of course, you could do this stovetop. It's not like, well, it has to be done in a pressure cooker. It's just much faster in a pressure cooker. So I'm going to start it. I cook this for 6 minutes at high pressure. I'm going to just kind of move it out of the way a bit. So 6 minutes at high pressure. Now it actually doesn't take just 6 minutes. That's the Instant Pot saying I'm turning on. Because it has to come to pressure, that might take, with all that stuff in there, that might take 8 or 10 minutes. So the entire time is going to be more than just your cook time. But what I love about the Instant Pot is I just push a button and go. Yes, I will show you what I did. Okay, so this is the only way I know how to use. They have all these buttons on the side, never use them. I do manual, which is I'm going to tell it how long. So I press manual and I set it for 6 minutes. And now it just says that it's on. Once it gets to pressure, a 6 will come up here and then it counts down. And then after 6, it switches from high pressure to low pressure, because there are a number of things that you cook on high pressure for a while, and then you have it go to low pressure or to continue cooking. But then there are times like the one I'm going to do today. Once it's done 6 minutes, I'll do what's called a quick release. So I'll let the steam come out, and I'll show you that. And then it immediately basically stops cooking. So while that one's going, let's go ahead and let me show you the one that is literally 5 minutes. So I'll tell you, because we have so many butternut squash, I make this one. I've already made it probably 3 times this fall. And I think I have about 30 more butternut squash. So I'll be making that one again and again. It freezes beautifully, and more to come when I blend it. Okay, so this one's super easy. A number of you sent similar recipes, but I just want to show you how simple this one is. Now I have a high-speed blender. I happen to have a Vitamix, but you don't need a Vitamix for this. So this is kind of a fancy one, la-di-da. I like kitchen stuff. But like I said, you don't need a high-speed blender to make this, because I'm really not trying to make it super, super smooth. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some black beans, and I'm going to empty a little more than half. So probably 3/4 of my beans into my blender. And then it says a cup of salsa. So I'm just using inexpensive jarred salsa. So your soup is going to taste very much like whatever salsa you put in. So if you like spicy, do spicy. If you like chipotle salsa, you get the idea. It's whatever salsa you like. I'm going to go ahead and add some salsa. Notice that precise measuring. 1.5 cup broth. So you could use vegetable broth. You could use, I made chicken the other day, so I have some chicken broth, and I'm just going to toss that in here. And then some cumin. I'm not sure you're going to be able to read that. Cumin, C-U-M-I-N, just a bit for some seasoning. Okay, now my top I'm going to put on, and I'm just going to blend this for a quick blend. I think it's going to be noisy for a second, so sit tight. Okay, so like I said, I don't want it super blended. If I wanted it perfectly blended, I would do it longer. But that's all I'm going to need for the blender. Now let me finish it. I'm actually not going to heat this up. So what we add now are the rest of the beans, because I like some chunky beans in there. So I pretty much always have these ingredients on hand just because I keep them in my pantry. So I've got some chunky beans in there, and now I'm going to add a cup of frozen corn. You might be able to do canned. I've never used canned, but I'm sure in a pinch corn is corn, might be a little different consistency. So this particular recipe, if I didn't use the chicken stock, it would be vegan, but it's got a lot of whole foods and lots of plants in here. Now, the way I might garnish this particular soup typically is with cilantro, but if you want to go a little bit less healthy, let me put that down. You could do some sour cream on top. You could do some tortilla chips, you know, whatever you like. I would heat this up in a stovetop and then serve it in spoons, but that is the literally 5-minute black bean, I think it's called easy black bean salsa soup. So super quick, easy to do. Have either a tortilla, maybe if you wanted a quesadilla to go with it, or just a slice of French bread or something, or toast. Very, very simple dinner. So I see a lot of chats, Chris. Were there questions?
There was just one last question about what device you were using. I thought it was your laptop, but they asked if it was your phone.
It is my laptop.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all in the chat for questions right now. I don't see any new ones.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do now, while the butternut soup is cooking, let's go ahead and I'm going to ask everybody to unmute. No, we've decided we were going to do this with the raised hands. That's right. So thanks everybody who sent in a recipe. It was sent out in the email last night. I think we had almost 20 pages, 19 or 20 pages of recipes. Some were fabulous. They were international from all over, even if you aren't in Africa. I think we had 2 African soups, which was wonderful. But if you'd like to share, and I would love to hear from some of you, got it, Marty. I'll have to resend it to you. If you need a, if you can't open the recipes in the link that was sent last night, please send me an email. That way I will know that I have to attach a Word document to the reply for you.
Kathy,
But if you would go down into your, what was that, Chris?
I was just going to say, I'm not sure how you sent that document out, but we do have a Google Drive account for Friendship Force, and I could load them all up there with the link, so you don't have to send a 20-page document. But
well, I sent it in the last email notification through our website, and it was an attachment, and people say they got it. It's just not everybody, I think, can open it.
yeah.
So I think most folks did get it. Let's see. So Gloria, I do not rinse the beans. And actually, I did drain it slightly, but you don't even really have to drain it, because that's going to be aquafaba from the black beans. So all of that is just adding flavor. But the majority of times I make my own beans. So I soak them for the night before. I dump that water and then I cook them in fresh water. That's the aquafaba I keep.
Yeah, there's a comment by Terry that maybe that people don't have the Word and they could read PDF if you save it as a PDF.
Okay, good tip. Good tip. Thank you.
I can easily convert that if you don't have the right thing,
Okay.
Kathy.
I'll see. I think I have it, Chris, but you never know. So be thinking. I'd love to hear in a second while everybody's unmuting. No, sorry. I keep saying that.
We can do that if you'd like. I'm not seeing any hands raised, so if you'd like,
Okay,
I can.
Let's try. I would love to hear from folks who want to share about the recipe that they sent in, or just tips. If you just have a tip about, oh, this is something I do, this is just kind of an informal chatting time, sharing kind of some kitchen best practices, what you do to, be effective and efficient in the kitchen.
So you should be able to unmute yourself by clicking on your video. You'll see or the unmute button down on the bottom left side of your corner. You can also, depending on how you've set up your computer, use your space bar on your computer and just hold your space bar down and talk. So if anybody wants to try that.
While folks are unmuting, I want to just share about a couple of upcoming Zooms that Friendship Force of Sacramento is doing that we are opening up to Friendship Force International.
Okay, Kath, I just want to interrupt. It says it's not allowing you to unmute. So Lily, if you can, we changed the button that allows that, but apparently Zoom is not, that button is not working right at the second. So let me do it this way. I'm going to click this button. Okay, if you guys who are trying could try it now.
Test.
There we go. That's got it. Okay, we're good. So
does someone have something they want to share?
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh,
Is Dave Callan here?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was on a journey and he fixed it when I was on a journey. And so that's why I included it in the recipes, but I didn't want to take credit because it's not my recipe. I got it from Dave.
So maybe you can answer this then. He's calling for 1 package of ground Italian sausage mild and 1 package hot. How much weight is a package?
About a pound, and I never put that much sausage in. I've made it probably 10 or 15 times, and I usually just put in about a pound.
In total, okay, thank you.
Sure. It's delicious, and I serve that one regularly when I have, because I do dinners when we have an inbound. So it says a lot of folks cannot.
That's all right. I'm getting it, Kathy.
Okay. Okay.
Kathy, for those who are in the kilogram part, it's probably about 0.4 kilos is 1 pound.
Thanks, George. Yep, I forget. So thank you for that. Good.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can most of these soups be frozen? Does anyone say, no, you can't freeze mine?
I know if they put that in their notes that it could be frozen, I included it. But that's a great question for somebody who maybe didn't think to include that. If your soup cannot be frozen, could you tell us? Because I know I make a big pot, and then I freeze it.
Mhm.
This is Terry. I think the only thing that you wouldn't want to freeze is things with cream cheese in them, because it kind of it doesn't taste bad, but it looks weird.
Potatoes don't freeze very well either.
But I think that's whole potatoes. I think if it's blended, you could freeze
Yeah,
that.
maybe if it's all, yeah, maybe if it's all ground up, but yeah, I freeze soup as well.
Yeah.
What about freezing with milk when you have a cream base?
The one that I'm making with buttermilk, with butternut squash, has coconut milk in it, and I freeze it all the time. No problem.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't use regular dairy, but I don't think that it would be any different.
Is this unsweetened or light or sweetened coconut milk?
Unsweetened. Because the pears are sweet.
I think it's very interesting, the different methods of cooking that have evolved over the years. When I lived at home, we never had a pressure cooker. Didn't know what one was until I married. And then pressure cookers appeared. And 2 or 3 years ago, I bought a second-hand slow cooker. Never used a slow cooker before, but how wonderful they are.
Yeah.
And my recipe that I put in was for oxtail soup or oxtail hot pot. And to do a pan full of that is good, and that can be frozen.
Okay. Yes, I thought yours was so interesting. Loved it. Loved it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Also
so
do lamb shank similarly.
the advantage to a crock pot or a slow cooker is you can put it on in the morning and leave, and it cooks all during the day. The advantage to an instant pot is if you forgot to start it, or you were home all day and you thought, no, I'll just cook that up a half hour before I'm going to eat. You can cook it up very, very quickly.
Uh-huh.
But quite often we'll do the slow cooker to near enough cooked one day and reheat it for another day, give it an extra boost for another day.
Exactly. Oh yeah. One of my mottos in the kitchen, and not everybody is like this. Some people hate leftovers. My motto is cook once, eat twice, at least.
Yeah, me too.
This is Diane from Niagara in Canada. My recipe was the barley and lentil soup recipe, and it calls for 3 cups of either Swiss chard or spinach chopped coarsely. By mistake, I picked up bok choy when I made it last, and that was even better.
Good, Diane. Thank you.
Why not? Yeah.
Was it that the bok choy was meatier? Is that why it was better?
Yeah, it had more of a crunch, the white part. So you use the white and the green parts chop it up into, I don't know, about 1-inch pieces. Yeah, so it had a bit of a crunch. You don't cook it very long, so it doesn't get soggy.
Right. Good. Thank you for that, Diane. Yeah,
The
I
other
saw
thing
your.
I had done is a friend of mine doesn't like barley, pearl barley. So when I made it for her once, I substituted orzo and just adjusted the cooking time because it doesn't take as long to cook as the barley does. So, and the orzo worked really well too.
Diane, does barley have gluten in it? I know a lot of people are gluten sensitive now.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so you could just substitute quinoa then?
Yep.
Or a brown rice.
You
Brown
could.
rice could be different cooking times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good, thank you. How about anyone else want to share something about your recipe or just things you do?
It's Linda Toffmeyer from Calgary. With the roasted tomato soup, and you really, once you roast the tomatoes, you can do whatever you want to with them. But I think I would freeze the roasted tomatoes. You can blend them and everything and freeze them. But if you're adding milk, I would wait to do it till you reheated it, just in case it was more likely to curdle. And the baking, if you use, my mother always did this. She used to make tomato soup just with canned tomatoes and always added baking soda. And because of the acidity of the tomatoes, it helps if it's milk to add baking soda. If you chose to use a broth instead of milk and maybe topped it with a little whipping cream, you probably wouldn't need to do that.
Huh. I don't usually keep whipping cream.
I don't either.
Well, I don't either. We usually just use milk.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Anybody else? With my I just unplugged my Instapot. That's not the program. I unplugged the wrong one. Darn.
When do we get a sample?
Come on by.
Good point, Mary. Good point.
I'll tell you what, you can get a sample when you do a journey inbound here to Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
Well, while you're thinking about something that you might want to share, I do want to let folks know about these upcoming Zoom events. So the first one is beginning of November. It's November 7th, and I'll be doing that one, and I call it Watercolor Doodles. We're going to work on some flowers. And I want to just be really clear. You don't need to be an artist. Just get a Crayola set of watercolor paints and you're good to go. We did a watercolor event in September and people enjoyed it, so I scheduled a few more. And these if you can put your paintbrush in water, put it in a color and make a circle, you can do it. And you can all do that. So that'll be a fun class. And then our club, we have a general meeting on November 8th, saying everything in local time. So 3:30 Pacific time. This one is coming soon to the FFI blog, but it's November 8th. We've got a PhD from University of California. Let's see, she's went to Stanford. She's super smart. She's going to speak on infection and immunity. So that is especially relevant now. So feel free to join us for that lecture because I think it's going to be very interesting. And again, kind of connected to healthy eating, healthy soup. All of that is very, very good for your immune system. Remember back when you were young, probably, what happened when you were sick? You got some soup. Well, there's some reasons for it. Then the last the last event I wanted to mention, it's posted on the FFI blog, is December 5th. That's a Saturday at 11 a.m. We're going to do another watercolor class. Again, very, very simple. I teach my little 7-year-old neighbor how to do these cards. So once I've done it with her, it's like, okay, I can do that one online. It's pretty simple. So we're doing 3 different Christmas cards because in the United States and I know elsewhere, it's a tradition to send Christmas cards during the month of December. So it'll just be fun. It's a different way to connect, maybe learning a new skill, but don't worry about it. We're just having fun. So love to have you join us for those.
And Terry asked
Yes.
if they'd be on the blog. You said all 3 of these will be on the FFI blog site, right?
Yes,
I'd like
both watercolors are already on the blog, and the lecture one should be on the blog next week. I just sent the information in.
Okay.
Chris, I'd like to give a tip about the kabocha to take the skin. Okay, you can put the kabocha in water boiled for 10 minutes one side, and after you change for more 10 minutes or 6 or 10 minutes to the other side. When you cut, it's very easy to take off the skin. Try it.
That is a great tip. So you've done that with kabocha squash because that is a very, very tough skin.
It's very hard too. But when you did that, and I learned that with a wonderful Brazilian cook that has a practice cooking, and she has a program, Rita Lobo. You can try to find its panelinha. I can write after. And she gave us this tip, and I did, and it works.
Good, thank you
It's
for that.
very easy.
Okay, Elena, if you have that information, you can type it into the chat and everyone can see it and then they can copy and paste it.
Yes, I will put the program of her. It's in Portuguese, but you can see she's very calm to do. You can see she gives a lot of tips.
So I
You
think
will like it.
if I heard Elena, see if I got it correctly. Kabocha is an especially hard skin squash. It's delicious, but it's very firm. So, and it's difficult to cut, even with a very, very
Yes.
sharp knife. So what she's saying is put it in a steaming water, and they're the size of small pumpkins.
Inside of the, yes.
Yeah, put it on one side for 10 minutes and then flip it over 10 minutes on the
Yes.
other side. And then
Yes.
that makes the skin much easier to peel. And that's a good tip because I grew kabocha and they are hard to peel.
Mhm.
Sometimes I put those in the oven. I roast them because then I just do.
You
For us,
can make
for
a
us
soup.
challenged people about gardens, I buy frozen butternut squash from the grocery,
There you go.
and it's all cut and ready to pour in.
Yes, there you go. And we even have fresh in our area. Trader Joe's and other places have it fresh, where you can just get fresh cut butternut squash and do the
Fresh.
exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I put one in the oven for a little while, but it's the same principle as the hot water.
Okay, great, good tips. Because I was cutting those this morning. Butternut's not as hard as kabocha, but it's
Right.
still pretty tough skin. Anybody else have something you want to share? Because I hear my Instant Pot switch to low pressure.
Yeah, I have not, I did not get the attachment for the recipe, so I'm not sure what you had in there. But I make a butternut squash too. I purposely didn't send you that. I figured you probably everybody would send that. But I don't make mine the way you do. I make mine with onions and with squash and boil it and with a vegetable stock. I'm vegetarian, but the seasoning I use is now I can't even think of it. I'm gonna have to just scrap that.
Cinnamon, nutmeg seasoning.
No, it's not. I want to say cardamom, but that's not right. It begins with a C.
So it might be right because I have another recipe that
No,
goes.
it isn't cardamom. It isn't cardamom. I'm sorry.
Not
That escaped my
That's
mind.
okay.
I'm gonna have to go look.
Mary,
Coriander? Could it be coriander?
Coriander.
Ah,
Coriander.
The recipes are right. It's a link. It's not an attachment, Mary. It's right above the best regards in Kathy's email. It's just a link that you click.
Right. Thank you for
Okay.
that, Terry, to help folks. But you know, if you,
To let you know, Kathy,
I'll
may I
look, I'll
interrupt?
look again.
Coriander to some people is cilantro to many others. So,
No, no, it doesn't taste like that to me.
well, the
I
coriander,
hate-
coriander
hate-
is cilantro seeds, and
Well,
so
but
they're
they
two
taste
different.
totally different. At least they
Now
do.
that,
in Texas.
I'm just mentioning that some people may believe that coriander and cilantro
No,
are the same.
it tastes totally different.
I'm
But
off.
it gives it a really good flavor. And I do add some milk at the end and put it in the blender. And it makes a nice thick soup with that, with lots of coriander in it. And it gives it a really great flavor.
Yeah, I have another butternut coconut milk bisque recipe, but it's very involved. You roast things,
Oh, this one's
you know,
easy.
and it's got more of the what you might think of as the pumpkin spices, the cinnamon, and you know those kinds of things. It's fabulous, but it takes quite a while to make.
Oh, this one's quick and it's not a sweet taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yours sounds like it's sweeter.
Let me go ahead. I'm moving the, Chris, if you want to put it on this one so folks can see. I'm hoping it'll work. So my Instant Pot on the front, yeah, I can't see it yet. There we go. On the front, well, I'm not sure you can read it. It says like 2 minutes. It says low 2. So that just means 2 minutes ago, it switched from high pressure to low pressure. Now on this part over here, this valve, you cannot open it, an Instant Pot. This is what's really great about an Instant Pot compared to the older ones. You cannot open it while it's at high pressure. You've got to release the pressure. So what you do is there's just that nozzle and it's going to steam up, and that's what I'm doing. I'm releasing the pressure. As soon as it's released, the lock on this valve area will drop, and then I can open it. So it'll be just another minute. I'm going to add this coconut milk. But many times I use canned. I just so happen to have a whole thing of coconut milk. Okay, so it's still deep pressure, taking the steam out. This part's a little messy. I'm going to use an immersion blender. You could, of course, just put it in your blender and do it that way. But like I said, I like kitchen stuff. And this is kind of nice because then I don't have to lift up a heavy, very hot pot.
Yeah.
Okay, should be any minute here. Okay, it has dropped, so now I can open it. Boiling. Okay, so I'm going to just lift this. I think it might be a little easier. Can you see inside? You can see it's all still, you know, in pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'll just blend this delicious looking stuff up, blending all those flavors. And I have not added my coconut milk because I want to see how thick it is. great.
Kathy, would you have to cook your pears first?
You don't if you use an Instant Pot. I've made it with fresh pears. Just make sure you kind of cube it. I mean, you kind of cut them, because otherwise, if you just put the half of the pears in, that's going to be a little thicker.
Okay, thanks.
But I did use fresh pears one time because I had them. Fresh, ripe pears. So you don't need to cook them before you put them into the soup. Okay, so let me go ahead and just dish this up so you can see it. And I'll show you how I would garnish this. Oops, I made a mess.
Kathy, someone asked to see the coconut milk container. She's only
Yes.
seen it in cans.
Okay, so usually in the non-dairy area, you can get coconut milk as well. This is just one particular, there's many brands. This is so delicious, dairy-free. And I just happen to have it. I don't usually buy coconut milk as a milk alternative. I typically make my own oat milk.
Of course you do.
Well, that's because it's two reasons. It's really easy and it's a lot cheaper. Okay, so I would put pepitas on the top. I think they're just really nice. And I keep them in a little glass thing. So I just sprinkle those. Again, you could do, for a little more decadence, you could do sour cream, you could do yogurt, you could put fresh parsley on the top. But this is kind of nice with those seeds in there.
Oh yeah, pepitas is what they're called.
Pepitas, yes. That's what I use. But again, it's whatever you like, whatever you enjoy. So those are the recipes, and I'm happy to answer any questions or thank you all for joining us today. That smell wonderful.
Kathy,
My son will be very glad because it's going to be about lunchtime and he'll enjoy a bowl. This is his favorite soup, so he loves it.
were you going to do one on stews or did I miss something?
I'm not demoing a stew. You can't do it very quickly, but there are some in the recipes.
Are there? Because I've got a really good one too, an African stew that's very different.
Yeah, we got two African recipes.
Stews. Maybe they're like the one I make. I don't know.
Maybe.
Very good. Okay, I'll look for it.
Good. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions.
Oh, I do have one other thing. I'm in the Dallas Club, and since we're on Zoom like everybody else, our programs, since we don't get to travel, we're looking at other people's travels. But we're posting those recordings on our website if anybody's interested. And last month we had Bhutan, and then something local, and the one before that was one to Iowa from our trip to Iowa. I'm going to be doing the next one to Petra, Wadi Rum, and the Baha'i Gardens in Israel, and that'll be on November 14th. So if you want to join us live, you can, somebody can contact me and I can give them the Zoom for it, or it'll be posted on our website under our meetings.
Have you thought about, Mary, putting it on the FFI website? Because that way that's how I get other people from other clubs to participate.
I don't know where to post that.
I just send it to
Allison?
No.
Well, you can do it through Allison though.
No, I don't do it through Allison. Hold on. I'm
Is it Britain?
Yeah. Britain, thank you. That's who I send it to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I knew I was forgetting one. There was one to Cornwall and Somerset as well.
Oh.
And Mary, you could also go through your field rep who happens to be a member of your club.
Yes, Edward. Yeah, you contact Edward. He can give you the Zoom message for the Zoom link for any of those.
It's just, it can be easier though, Mary, I'm just
suggesting. Easier to go to our website.
To just think about posting those, because the more options I think people have, the greater the connections. Like just look today, how many people know each other and have traveled and seen each other. or it's
I don't know a few people here, Barney and Terry. Travis?
Yeah.
Can I ask, are you with, didn't see what club you're with. Is it Dallas? We should go to the Dallas website. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
it's just friendshipforcedallas.org.
Okay.
And under
Easy
the
enough.
meetings, whenever we recorded it, we'll put the link in there right after the meeting.
So is that how clubs would ordinarily contact, by the Friendship Force and then the name of the club?
Every
.org?
club
Would you
has their
get-
own name. That's our name, which is really simple to remember.
Okay.
Right, everyone's
Friendship Force
different.
Dallas.
Everyone's different, Carolyn. It depends how they
Okay.
set it up. That's why if people go through the FFI blog, everybody knows to go to the FFI blog for open virtual experiences and events. One thing
Right.
I'll share with you that our club did maybe a month or 6 weeks ago, we had a virtual reunion with the Toronto club.
Oh,
We've
cool.
been both places. They've come here, we've been to Toronto. And so we got together and had a lovely time reviewing what we did, kind of sharing some fun moments. And we're about to do a virtual reunion with the South Sydney Club at the end of this month, I believe, or maybe, no, I think it's early next
No,
month.
it's the 30th.
So that might be something to think about.
So it's a Zoom meeting?
It's a Zoom meeting. So you can
And are
set
you posting those somewhere, Kathy?
Well, those haven't been posted because they're kind of just, for the two
Just
clubs.
two, really, yeah.
Yeah,
Ours are, anybody might be interested in them.
right. But for folks who, I'm just trying to give folks ideas. If your
Yeah.
club, because you can't travel, remember, some of the places that you've been to, the journeys you've traveled to, and the folks you've hosted, and see if you can reconnect that way. One thing that it was good for is we have a number of new members, and because we talked about what we did, we also kind of shared the journey concept with them.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just another idea for people, for creative things to do during this time where there really isn't much travel.
Yeah.
And if we still want to be connected, and there's lots and lots we can do.
Katie?
Well,
Is
two
it
of
worth
those
mentioning how-
were
Katie?
from Journeys, from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and the Somerset. Those were from Journeys. Mary Latham's also going to be doing one on Easter Island, I think, in early 2021.
Katie?
All right. Okay. Now.
Katie. Hello, Rona. Katie? Kathy? I'd like to invite you and all of them to visit one presentation that has in the Vimeo of Friendship Force that calls Ikebana, One Flower for a Better World.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. It's fast. I did for people. It's a campaign to make a flower of light for the peace. It's the same thinking of Friendship Force, no? Peace between the people. And if you find, I think you will like it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Kathy.
Yes, that recording is on the Friendship Force International blog.
Yes,
Kathy,
yes.
Kathy,
Yeah.
I saw Eleni's presentation of that and it was wonderful. And also Eleni and I met last year in Brazil.
Yes. That's
And it has been so nice because I've seen her about 3 or 4 times in the last month, just on Zoom. So
Yeah.
for those people who are not used to it, it's really a great way to meet up with friends.
Where are you, Rona?
I'm in Sacramento.
Okay.
I traveled with the Iowa Club to Brazil just about a year ago. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. We have to be creative now. There's no two ways about it. And there's still lots we can do. So if you have members that are struggling with Zoom, there are Zoom resources out there. Chris put together a kind of a basic tutorial if you've never been on Zoom before. So there's other resources to learn how to do it because we've got to do what we can, and it can be a lot of fun. I enjoy doing these things. I hope you join us for future Zooms. And thanks to everyone who posts on FFI because I love to join other ones as well. So I think our time is up. Chris, is there anything?
Last question. Is Eleni from Brazil?
Yes.
Brazil,
Okay.
Friendship, Ribeirão Preto. And send the other invites of your cards of oil, no?
Water.
Paints, water paints.
Yes, it's on
Send
Apple.
invite from me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks everyone for joining. Chris, did you want to share anything?
No, that's good. We're good.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good weekend.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Bye, Elaine.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
Bye.